everyone, this is Overmind and welcome back to another StarCraft 2 replay cast. Today I have for you a PvP, which is one of my favorite matchups to play. Let me go ahead and introduce our opponents. Spawning at the top right side of the map in blue, we have our submitter for the evening, ZookaMan. Thank you so much for sending us this game, Zuka. I do appreciate it. And spawning at the bottom right side of the map in red, our terrifying Protoss player Romious, which is possibly a very romantic name. Or a very warlike name, not sure. Pylon's going down for both players. Zuka gonna go ahead and head off to scout. This is especially important since this is a new map and there are some things to note about this map. This is actually, I believe the name of the map is Nimbus, although I get map names wrong all the time, so we'll see if that's right or not. This particular map is a 4-player spawn map. Could be here, could be here, could be here, could be anywhere. Zuka's gonna go ahead and try and find his opponent with that probe. I want to go ahead and note that there is this nice natural expansion in your main base, although it has a high ground advantage, so an attacking force doing something like dropping or warping in might have an advantage. Zuka's going to go ahead and see that his opponent is not here and head back off to scout the rest of it. Romious just sending his probe out a moment ago, which is kind of late, in my opinion at least. I like the early probe scout. So you can run a probe around in Protoss's base for 4.5 to 5 minutes and keep it alive. Romious gonna find Zuka right off just by sheer luck. And Zuka's gonna go ahead and scout out this natural to make sure that none of those annoying warp-ins or cannon rushes are going to happen to him in his own base. Although checking this area right here is probably a good idea for those scary, scary proxies. This probe is going to get followed around and eventually scared off, I imagine. Zuka now discovering where his opponent is by process of elimination. It's also important to note that at the front of this ramp we have this destructible debris. And that's going to mean that this is a very narrow choke point here for any attacking force early in the game. Later in the game this might get taken out so that units can more easily run down the ramp to defend, say, a nice third over here. I think overall this is going to be a very good macro map because of the ease of securing this natural expansion, and realistically a fairly easy to secure third expansion, although obviously warp in and drop play is going to be a very big deal, as will any air harassment on this map. So we have Zuka gonna go ahead and take a quick look around Romious's base, or at least around the front. Stalker's just starting to be produced, so he had a little bit of time to roam around a bit more. Don't think he saw the forge, but yeah, got a decent look at what is there. Definitely want to try and count pylons when you scout. At about this point there certainly should be at least 2, if not 3. Both players coming up towards the need for 3. Romious a little bit ahead in the food count. I'm going to go ahead and look at the army and worker supply. Worker supply slightly in favor of Romious. Army supply dead even. Naturally, this is not a game-ending thing, but you want to have your workers in a row. You want to have lots of them. This is going to help early game especially. But again, definitely not a game-ending moment. Cannons here from someone who is clearly used to being oracle harassed, or for someone who correctly reads the map as something where air could be a big problem. Zuka gonna go ahead and just about finish that warp gate research. We do notice that Romious, while slightly ahead in the worker count, is a little bit behind in the warp gate research. He did place his cyber core a few seconds behind Zuka's, so he will be a little bit late in that respect. Couple of stalkers here, finally satisfied that the base is free of proxies, are going to wander on around near the front, ready to defend the base with their very lives. We do have the first warp gate coming on up. This being chrono boosted so that stalker will be done building and it can be a warp gate too. Ugh. Probably do with making one more probe to fill this out. Oh, here's another probe. Look at that, he's going to go ahead and expand. Again, slightly before Romious is going to do that. Romious building actually a lot of pylons. His supply is pretty high. Zooka definitely wants to go ahead and have this pylon here so that he'll have vision of this very scary area here that could be warped in upon. Romious getting that vision of all the dark corners of his map except for this area here where he's going to go ahead and expand finally. There we have it. Expansions for each proxy pylon going down for Romious. Observer scout crossing the map, but I believe there were cannons all around. You definitely want to be careful with your observer scouts to make sure that you don't engage the front or the mineral line directly. When you scout with an observer, you want to come in either from the side or ideally in through where you think the natural would be, and then into the main base that way, because it rarely has the defenses up like cannons and turrets to mess with your observer. That's going to be fine. Zooka at the very least knows that there is a cannon at the front. Zooka himself is going to go ahead and add on an immortal, which is going to be nice in case of the need for defense at the front. Very beefy units, very helpful in that respect. Also, Sentry is going to be able to give off those force fields and eventually Guardian shields and hallucinations. Also very useful for scouting. And I believe Zooka would have... Oh, I'm back in his base, goodness. I believe he would have seen at least 3 of these, which he indeed did. Did not see the 4th, but that's only just finished. Robo coming up for Romious as well. Also going to add that immortal on. Not quite as necessary to have the observer out immediately, since he has that nice cannon to give him vision at the front in case of something annoying like DTs. Is going to hallucinate a phoenix across around the base. Gonna get taken out as it flies over the army, but certainly got a pretty good look. Zooka starting to saturate his natural, Romious starting to saturate his natural, and everything proceeds along according to plan. I'm gonna go ahead and... Oh! Observer's gonna see the proxy, that's very good. It's very good. I'm going to go ahead and speed it up just a hair, just a tiny bit as these scouts make their way across the map. And Phoenix getting taken out fairly quickly. The observer is pulled back to watch for any units leaving from the front. Mothership core up here, as well as here for those very essential photon overcharges and time warps. And Colossus being added on to this army. That nice extended thermal lance being researched. So lots of good stuff coming out from both of our players. Both of them very close in the money count. Double forges being added on for upgrades from Zooka. Forge researching upgrades from Romious, and I believe that was started a bit earlier than Zooka's, so he will at least for a little while be ahead in upgrades, although once that double research starts kicking in, it's going to be pretty good. We do have a Stargate here. And that's kind of concerning given how good I believe we would, how good I believe air would be on this map. However, we do also have a warp prism coming out from Romious, so possibly he's looking to take advantage of this map in a very good way. This observer here is still going to see anything that comes out of the front, so we'll see if it spots anything coming out as air and warp prisms are produced. Base is almost saturated up here. Money is low. Looks like we have a Twilight Council up for Zooka, or at the very least coming up. We'll see if he elects to go High Templar or Dark Templar. Always a very difficult decision. I think these 2 zealots are going to finally run out and kill this pylon. I think. Naturally, the longer a pylon is there, the harder it is to kill, because you run the risk of several more units warping in to defend said pylon. But I think Romious is more worried about this right here. It's going to be a warp in. Looks like Zooka does see it and evacuates probes, moving an army on up Does manage to get one zealot kill, but certainly isn't worth trading 3 zealots for 1. Not going to be an equitable trade. But I do like the thought here with Romious. I do like that he is using the map to the best of his ability and taking advantage of that. So that's going to be good. Expansion going down for Zooka. Complete with pylons. A couple probes still being produced. Well, 1 extra, just in case. It's always good to have a couple extra hanging around. At least until you get up on 3 bases. In my opinion, Protoss is way more fun with at least 3 mining bases. Romy is going to go ahead and scout out a little bit. Very good. Checking for things like ninja expansions, as well as checking around where you expect the person to expand to the 3rd. All very good ideas. He's actually just going to plant a proxy pylon, which could be a similarly good idea if he can get some harassment going on Zooka's up-and-coming 3rd base. Do have these zealots just hanging out here. Just, they're friends. Do have a probe from Romious, getting that vision, making sure he can see anything that's coming at him. This force adding on Colossi. Adding on, looks like he went High Templar. I'm gonna go ahead and merge that into an Archon. And I'm gonna go ahead and open this up again. Worker supply now in Zooka's favor. And not surprising since he's making probes to fill out that 3rd. Army supply in Romious' favor. So, if there was ever a time to attack, I believe it is now for Romious. That said, he will have trouble with this debris moving up the ramp. Might be able to snipe the 3rd. Certainly seems to be pretty well shut down by this cannon up here. Looks like there is an observer here. Just trying to check and see what is up. Hallucinated Phoenix going out. Both players trying to feel each other out. Both facing that moment of uncertainty. Do I attack now, or do I continue to macro? Zooka getting a pretty good look through the natural. Sees the army at the very least, so both have somewhat of a sense of the other's army. We do note that these rocks are starting to be in the way. Oh! Sniped. Romious gonna go ahead and take that 3rd himself. And again, there is this nice lane of travel, which makes it fairly easy to move between the 3. It's going to be very good. Romious just kind of parking out here. Oh, no, looks like he's gonna go ahead and head out as soon as I say that, because that is how casting works. We'll see if these zealots get killed off. Looks like they're going to be very... Oh! They're going to go ahead and run over to the army. They certainly won't be able to engage it directly very effectively, but they will distract it momentarily. Is that a move command? I think... Oh, this is not a good position for Romious. This is not a good position at all. He does throw down a time warp on some of the heavier units, but it's just too little too late. That blink around and that surround was incredibly good for Zooka. And now is the time to attack and kill vengefully if you are Zooka. At home we do see a handful of Stalkers, a couple Void Rays, Immortal. Colossus being chrono boosted out. So it's not as if it's completely undefended, but it's certainly not going to hold up against this army, I do not believe, even if he pushed up the ramp right now. Pylon gonna go ahead and go down for Zooka. Fairly sure sign. Oh, look at all the probes! Oh, and he leaves the game. Oh, Romious. Zooka, I like you, but it's very hard to watch probes die like that and not feel the pain that Romious felt as he was transferring that down. Oh my gosh, that hurt me. I want to go ahead and note that while Zooka was moving his units into attack, he did go ahead and begin to take a 4th which certainly would have been a great benefit even if this attack had failed, which clearly it did not, based on the death of the many innocent probes. But in any case, that is the game. Again, one of my favorite matchups. Enjoyed casting it. Hope you guys enjoyed watching it. If you would like to see me cast your games, go ahead and send them to noobcrafted@gmail.com. That's NOOBCRAFTED @gmail.com. Thanks so much, guys, and have a good night.